you go, Dr. Berg. Dr. Berg, can you hear us?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you fine.
Sorry, we're on the air. Forgive me. Maybe you didn't see the opening jingle.
Welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. Anything that I say is definitely not meant to diagnose or replace your medical care. Check with your doctor before taking any of the advice that we're about to tell you. And Steve, I have some really a huge, important announcement. As you know, I have like 6,000 videos, and I'm going to have to make some changes because we're changing our entire program to veganism. We found that is the best way to, lose weight and be healthy. So that's my April Fool's joke for you today. No, we're not changing. Sorry, I just had to throw it out there because Terry convinced me to say that. But we're not changing anytime soon.
My goodness! Well, I just dumped out my freezer. Thanks a lot.
I knew you would.
So gullible. Well, listen, we've got today, unwittingly, it's ladies' night. We have all female cast in our green room, and we're really excited about that. No boys, but we will talk to the boys on social media. So anyway, let's see. Why don't we go right to that? And we have Anik is coming from Quebec. And stand by. I'm going to bring you up and unmute yourself, Anik, if you haven't already. And here we go. You're on with Dr. Berg.
Bonjour, Dr. Berg. I'm so happy to speak with you. It's unbelievable. I'm your number one fan, just so you know. So my question today is, whenever I eat, I eat my whole meal. I'm full. I can't eat more. But at the end of my meal, I sort of had to grab a cracker. I need to grab a carb or some sugar. I know that I have some left in my plate that I could eat, but that's not what I want to feel content. I want a cracker or a piece of bread or something.
Right.
I'm not on a keto diet only, but I'm getting there.
Got it. Well, that's a really good question because what's happening, there's a difference between feeling full and feeling satisfied. You can literally be stuffed, but you just still feel like I need something, and that something is either nutrients and or fuel. And so if someone has, the most likely reason for that is you have insulin resistance. And so the cell has a difficult time pulling on that fuel. So this happens when you eat food and you just feel like, I need something sweet, something quick to drive into the cell to like, oh, okay, now I'm back to normal. I would just don't give into that. Of course, you want to start to go more and more keto because eventually what will happen, that insulin resistance will be corrected and then you'll feel really satisfied. But to correct it, you can't keep doing the carbs. So that is the catch-22 that you're in. And then what you can focus on is the nutrient dense food as much as possible because I have noticed that just the quality of nutrients of certain even vegetables, for example, and from a farmer's market versus a store or from certain countries versus other countries are so much different. And when you consume nutrient dense foods, it's going to be more satisfying. So I think you're going to have to just cope as best as you can, bite the bullet, and then maybe have some additional fatty foods after you eat as your replacement, like maybe fatty nuts, pecans, something like that. That's what I do. But I do understand I had the exact same thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
That is great. And I might remind Anik that he just gave you a vegan approach with the nuts. So that's terrific, Dr. Berg. And let's see, why don't we start off with the first quiz of the day. And I really like these questions. Not that what I like is of any material concern, but here you go, Doc.
Okay. I can't see the question.
Okay, let me take that for you. Which has more friendly bacteria, yogurt or kefir, if I'm saying that right, kefir?
That's correct. That's the first question.
Okay, audience, jump on that. And then let's go to social media. And Terry's been hard at it. And Liam from YouTube, my right hip and right side of my belly feel tender, and I get a dull ache that goes around to my back in the same place after I eat. What's causing this? And by the way, not April Fools.
You know what? I suspect it could be a potential kidney stone, especially if it wraps around. One thing that might be good to rule out a kidney stone is not to just run and get a CAT scan, because that's a lot of radiation. You can get a much less invasive procedure, just an ultrasound, and they can look for potential kidney stones on that side. But that's what it sounds like. And then, of course, in the meantime, what you should be doing is drinking at least 2.5 liters of water every single day. That would be very important. The other thing about kidney stones is that they tend to develop when your urine pH is a little bit too alkaline. So by acidifying your urine, that would be better. So the apple cider vinegar would be a good thing to do a few times a day. But I have a lot of videos on kidney stones. That's what I would suspect. If there is no kidney stone, and then what you need to do is watch my recently promoted video that I did on knee and back pain, which I brought on. Ben Patrick has a great, incredible program all about walking backwards or pulling a sled backwards, a great exercise to help back pain and knee pain. And I do it. It's completely eliminated my back pain. And because especially from sitting all day long, you need an exercise that reverses that. So if you haven't seen that video, check it out. It's a fascinating exercise that you can do. It's real simple and anyone can do it. And all you don't need anything. You just need your backyard, or you don't even need that. You just go start walking backwards. And so watch that video if you haven't seen it.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, I wanted to get to Mimi because this sounds terrible from YouTube. Again, she has partial heart failure due to a new medicine she was taking. My heart is only working at 54% capacity. Should I be on the keto diet?
1000% yes, because the high carb diet, the opposite diet, which is higher carb diet, attacks 4 tissues. 1, the heart; 2, the kidneys; 3, the nervous system and brain; and 4, your eyeballs. So if you're not on keto and you have a heart problem, the heart has more free radicals, it has more oxidation from the high glucose. And so absolutely, positively, yes, you need to be on the ketogenic diet. I'll have people that will say something that just indicates that they don't even know what the ketogenic diet is. And they'll say, well, I can't do keto because I am a diabetic. I can't do keto because I have heart disease. I'm like, no, that's why you need to do it. So keto stands for ketones, which basically is an alternative form of fuel. When you cut down your carbs, your body starts running on a different fuel, which is a lot healthier, and that's ketones. So it doesn't need to run on glucose. Any glucose that's needed by the body can be made easily by the body out of fat, protein, or even ketones. So we really don't need glucose in our diet at all.
Well, Mimi, best of luck to you, and I hope you find a remedy. Yeah, eating a couple cups of sugar a day doesn't keep the doctor away, and I love it when you put it that way. That's the difference between keto and, gorging junk. So anyway, let's say a good morning to our folks all around the world, and I should first mention that we have Alice coming up in a little bit. She's from Hong Kong. Of course, we already had Anik from Quebec. And here's the rest of them. A good morning from the UK, Canada, Greece, Nairobi, Pakistan, Switzerland, Ethiopia, Romania, Kenya, Sweden, India, Taiwan, Norway, Spain, Palau, Wales, Iran, Zambia, Mexico, the Philippines, France, Germany, Uzbekistan, Ireland, Turkey, Chile, Saudi Arabia, the Czech Republic, the Dominican Republic, Cameroon, and of course all across these United States. So thanks so much, everybody. You make the show. Poor Dr. Berg would have nothing to talk about if you didn't feed him reasons to come up great videos and all the great questions. So let's see what we have in terms of a answer for our first quiz. And the first quiz, let me bring that up real quick. Ask the audience, which has more friendly bacteria, yogurt or kefir, if I said that right, Doc? And the audience, 70% of them claim kefir, and only 30% say yogurt.
Yeah, the answer is kefir. Kefir has a lot more friendly bacteria. It has 9 times the amount of good bacteria as yogurt. Unfortunately, yogurt is not the best source of probiotics. It only has like maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 strains. And many times yogurt is heated, so it kills off the microbes. And so those microbes don't survive the stomach as well. So typically when you eat yogurt, you're eating pretty much dead bacteria. But I'm not opposed to all yogurts, like the Bulgarian yogurt and other types of yogurt might be okay, but not necessarily to fortify the friendly bacteria. And I won't even mention all the extra sugar that they put in yogurt, but and then you have the lactose intolerance and the allergy to the casein, the milk protein. So there's a lot of problems with yogurt. So I'm going to release a video this week on a much, things that are better than yogurt to fortify you with probiotics, stuff that you can easily get and consume and even make. So stay tuned for that video.
Well, that's fantastic. And by the way, for those of us that don't know, what's kefir? What does it look like? What is it?
Kefir is a different fermented product. It's usually from cow milk or goat or sheep. But what they do is they use these grains. They're different. They're a different blend of lactic acid bacteria and yeast. So it's just a whole different microbial fermentation. And it produces a different product. It's more sour. It has more microbes and it has more diversity of microbes plus the yeast. So it's much better for you. And now, what are the benefits of probiotics in general? Well, constipation, diarrhea, and also to increase your energy, decrease inflammation in your gut, improve neurotransmitters, which actually make you happier and bring you up. And so whatever's really going on in the gut, if you get your gut straightened out, your up here is going to be much better too. There's definitely a huge connection. So we need probiotics. We need a healthy gut, and so many problems occur when you don't have that. In fact, the derivation kefir comes from the Turkish word, which means to feel better after you eat. So there you go, Steve.
That's terrific. Well, listen, we've got a couple of guests here that are going to be really close to your heart because they're doing something you are, and that's Arna and her beautiful daughter, I think, and she is calling in or viewing in from Ohio. And Arna, you are on, and your daughter. What's your daughter's name? Sorry, Arna, I think you're still muted.
Hey.
Hi, Arna.
I know you guys. I've done an interview on. This is amazing. We have to connect up because I can't hear your microphone. If you could somehow unclick it, because I definitely want to talk to you. In fact, this little wonderful child I was going to do another interview, but I didn't quite hook up yet. But we're still trying to hook up because she's fairly local to me. So I still can't hear you for some reason.
Yeah, we had you up, Arna. We heard your volume before, so either your volume up or click that little mute thing.
What I see is the mic is muted. It looks like it looks like it was muted.
Oh, you know what happened? I think, Arna, you just put those headset on, and many times that kind of screws it up. Can you unplug that and just go through the computer? Sorry, audience, thanks, but this will be worth the wait.
Not yet. Is there another button you can press?
I tell you what, Arna, we're not going to let you go. Let me have you sort of figure that out. Try it. Unplug that headset, which you already did, and then try to bring your speaker back to the computer itself, the built-in speaker. So stand by just a moment, Arna. We don't want to miss you and the fabulous story. And Dr. Berg, maybe you can set it up for the audience. What's going on here?
Well, I mean, this little sweet girl, she had diabetes type 1, and I did a whole video interview, and she did fantastic. You know, there was, they got her on keto, and things started improving. It's a miracle story. So we have to really talk to her. Somehow we have to get that mic working. I was planning on meeting her in person, didn't quite hook up, but this is great that she's on. And I think maybe just keep playing around with your speaker, because there's something I'm looking on my end, and it says that there's a red arrow through your speaker somehow.
Yeah, so your computer's not seeing it.
Play with that.
And here's what we're going to do, Arna. I'm going to leave you unmuted. And so it's great because I know you have your sweet baby there. She's being very patient. But if we hear you suddenly blurt out, which means your speaker or your mic's working, then we'll go straight to you. In the meantime, Doc, let's go to someone else here. Alice is coming to us all the way from Hong Kong. And let me unmute her. And Alice, you're on with Dr. Let me click this. You're almost on with Dr. Berg. There you go.
I unmute myself. Hello, Dr. Berg. So glad to have you. I have been practicing fasting for a long time, and I now start sharing the benefit with the people I love. And one of my very close friends, she has diabetes type 2 for many years, and she had been trying for fasting like a day or 2 days. She seems to work better with that, because whenever she feels hungry, I ask her to drink green juice, and she feel much better and resolve the hunger. But for intermittent fasting, because maybe one day we eat one main meal or a little bit more, but she feel very difficult to sustain, because when she eat a meal, but she feel hungry all the time. So she had to snacking in between.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what could I suggest to her, because I couldn't really feel how difficult is it to stop the hunger.
Okay, so this is a good question, because the hunger / the appetite is the best way to know that it's working when that appetite goes away. And so all this means that she hasn't got into ketosis yet. So that could mean that when she does eat, she's eating too many carbs. So you have fasting, and then you have the ketogenic diet. You must get her on the healthy version of keto that I recommend. And then what will happen is then she's going to convert over to ketones. Once that occurs, you will not have an appetite. It's gone. It's like history. So the fact that she's still hungry and craving just means that she's not in the ketosis yet. She hasn't converted over. And you mainly do that by lowering your carbs. And then when she eats, I would actually recommend more fat in the diet for the purpose of going longer. So yeah, that's what I would do. And have her study the diet on my website. You should download it for free. It's right on drberg.com. So yeah, simple problem to solve. She's just not quite converted into ketones yet, but as soon as she is, she'll be able to go a lot longer.
That's easy to handle if that is the if she can increase the diet more from fat source, energy source, then I will let you know how she goes. And while everyone's sharing, and I have a second question, is that okay?
Go ahead.
Because I have been watching a lot of your video talking about the problem about high carb diet, and it's actually a lot of diabetes because we have overused our pancreas and it stuck ourselves to react. And because have been high carbohydrate diets that have been on the history for many years, and keto diets is not as long history as carb diet. And I wonder if we on the ketone diets for after a long period of time, we overuse some of the organ related to fat digestion, like the bowel.
Okay, so here's the thing. I believe if we take a look at history, we have been on the ketogenic diet a tremendously long period of time compared to this recent diet. If you take a look at just the evolution of our bodies, it didn't start out with all these carbohydrates. We ate what was available. And the carbohydrates that we did eat were definitely not like the ones nowadays. A lot of the fruits, for example, have been hybrids, and the starches, the corn, all these things. So we actually have been on the ketogenic diet for much, much, much longer than we have the carbohydrate diet. And we just haven't, we've just forgot about it. And so when we bring our body back to what we were designed to live off of, we do much better health-wise.
That's great. Alice, thanks so much for calling in from beautiful Hong Kong, and wish you well. Please report back to us as your health continues to increase. Why don't we go to our next question? And
I think Arna might be working now.
I hope so. Arna, can you hear us? Arna?
Liliana, you ready?
Oh my goodness, this is exciting. Stand by. We're going to get her. Sweet baby has been so patient. Yeah, we got you. So stand by, Arna. Get your little girl, and we'll put you on the air.
Oh, great. Great.
Stand by, everybody. Drum roll. Here we go. There's the little angel. Go ahead, Arna.
Good morning, Dr. Berg.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Berg.
Good morning.
I'm so happy to see you again. This is Liliana. You know her.
Yes.
She's 5 now.
Wow. Amazing.
Yes,
She looks
she's been
super.
doing healthy keto, lots and lots of vegetables, things like that, along with the healthy keto for 2 years now.
Amazing.
I think we've got a delay. I don't hear you, but
You're right.
Continue sharing just in case it's still going on the air. So
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes about 2.5 years ago. And so we started into that about 6 months after her diagnosis. And good news, her most recent HbA1c exam, her blood work for the average blood sugars came down to 6.1.
Wow.
Down from 12 when she was first diagnosed. From 12 to 6.1. So I wanted to share that with you.
That's a miracle.
So we're thankful for the program.
Wow.
So my question today is about low glycemic sugar, non-sugar sweeteners. So I wanted to ask you about that because we want to be very careful with what sugars I'm baking with to make sure that we don't shoot her blood sugar up. I make a lot of our toppings, like my little jam here. I make that from scratch. And I use mostly erythritol and stevia. But what are the best, like the since she's so young, like the organic ones, like the ones that are the most natural, what do you recommend that would be non-glycemic for a type 1 child?
Yes, I think you're on the right track. The ones that I probably wouldn't do are xylitol because it does have, it's a little higher. But the ones that are 0 on the glycemic index would be xylitol. That's a good one. Monk fruit and stevia. Those 3 are really, really safe. But, you know, what the manufacturing companies have, sometimes they'll use, like in the stevia or monk fruit, it's sprayed with maltodextrin. So unfortunately, this is a big problem because a lot of our vitamins and a lot of our sweeteners, alternative sweeteners, are sprayed with maltodextrin. We don't know it. So I'm starting to research this and finding out what companies don't use it. You might want to contact them and say, can you send me kind of some type of proof that you don't use maltodextrin? Because maltodextrin, if you're spraying 50% of it in maltodextrin and it doesn't have to show up in the ingredients, and you thinking you're getting this great thing when you're not, that's a big problem. So I will be doing a video on this, but maybe if you could find a stevia that says no maltodextrin, that would be perfect.
Well, that's great. Listen, Arna, I know you can't or probably can't hear us, but I want you to tune in afterwards and watch the show so you can hear all the stuff. She's still having a little problem with her computer, but what a fantastic story and what a sweet little girl to sit on your lap so patiently. I wouldn't have made it 5 seconds. So anyway, thank you so much, Arna, for that, and we hope to hear from you later.
And going from a 12 A1C to a 6.1 is literally a miracle, because the A1C is an average of 3 months of blood sugars. So, I mean, this just totally took her out of the danger zone, and she can live a long, healthy life without any complications. So this is very good news, and I'm excited.
Well, how fantastic. I wish she could answer, but she's not here in your feed, but she will later when she watches the show. Let's go on to the next question, which asks, interestingly, the chemistry of sugar is nearly identical to which vitamin? Audience, what's vitamins like sugar? And let's go back to poor social media, which I have been ignoring for a little bit. We'll make up for lost time. Let's see, Mary from YouTube, not a fan of the beard. It catches germs, and then when you kiss your wife, you're transferring them to her. Yuck. What are we going to do about that, Dr. Berg, for goodness sake?
Well, it's friendly germs. It's friendly bacteria, so you know what? We just have to spread the love, right?
That's great. Okay. Also from social media, Loretta, will walking 8 miles today at a moderate pace do more harm than good while fasting?
No, it does more good, because you're going to increase the benefit of a lot of things, including the lowering of cortisol, including the improvement of insulin problems. Insulin will become more sensitive. So I think it's going to enhance your progress. And if you could exercise while you're in the fasting mode, that's the ideal situation. So I like it.
That's terrific. Elise wants to know if she can add collagen to my coffee when she's fasting.
No, because that's going to be protein. That's one thing you don't want to add. You can add MCT oil or MCT powder or butter, but don't add the collagen, because it's a protein. It will spike the blood sugar, and that's the same thing goes with you when you work out. You don't want to add a protein to your workout, like either a drink or a supplement called branch chain amino acids, because that's going to spike your blood sugars.
Interesting.
And nullify your results.
Got it. Okay. Robin has been doing OMAD, but when she eats, she gets explosive diarrhea. Of course, she doesn't say what she's eating, but what can she do to avoid this?
It's usually related to some new change in this program. It could be, the large amount of vegetables that you're not used to. It could be some other thing that is related to, like a sugar alcohol or a keto snack that is filled with MCT or even some of these sugar alcohols like maltitol, for example, that will create that problem. So I would go through and just see what's new and start eliminating that until that diarrhea goes away. Because diarrhea is actually, it's a dangerous situation if it's chronic, because you'll just start losing your nutrients and your zinc and trace minerals and sea salt. So you have to fix that. And I have a lot of videos on that. So long-term, not good.
All right. Well, our audience is in total agreement. The chemistry of sugar is nearly identical to which vitamin? 100% of them say vitamin C.
They are 100% correct.
Wow.
So what does that mean? It means that if you ever consume sugar at the same time you're consuming vitamin C will get blocked. The body will take on glucose before vitamin C. So think about how many people try to get their vitamin C from orange juice, or how many people are taking the vitamin C in a sweetened, chewable, with sugar. It's like, and I'm talking about refined sugar, right? Not like if you were to get the sugar from berries, for example, that are high in vitamin C, it's not going to block that. I'm talking about actual like glucose. So this is interesting. The more carbs that you consume, the less vitamin C you'll have. So that's some interesting data, and I'm very, very, very interested to share a new video on vitamin C, the shocking things about vitamin C. And I'm hesitant about saying anything right now because some of those questions might be coming up real soon. So I will zip it for a little bit.
All right, perfect timing. Our next question, which makes sense, and I think you just spoke of, most of the world's vitamin C is made from sugar. That's a true false. Is it or is it not, audience? Okay, get on that. And let's see, why don't we go back to our green room, and Nancy from Georgia has been extraordinarily patient waiting there. And Nancy, unmute yourself, dear, and you're on with Dr. Berg.
Hey, Dr. Berg.
Hello.
Okay, well, I almost quit your program because you said you're going veto. You're going vegetarian. So, but the question I have is that I'm a 50-year-old menopausal woman, and I have done diets all my life, and then I recently stopped, and I was like noticing that I have I stopped dieting, but I noticed I've got a big belly and a big behind, and that's not right. I don't know why I have that. So I thought, well, gosh, maybe it's Diet Coke, because I drank that a lot. And so I gave that up for almost a year, and I didn't see a real big change. So do you have any explanation for my big bottom and big belly?
Well, the question that I'm going to have is probably, how long you've been on the ketogenic diet with intermittent fasting?
Well, about 6 or 8 months.
Okay. And how many meals a day do you have?
2.
Okay. And would you say that you're doing it by the book, or are you kind of doing it close or not perfect all the time?
I was doing it for 6 months for sure, by the book.
Okay. And did you find that your appetite went away when you did that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did your clothes feel a little bit looser?
Not, maybe a little, but not very much.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, they did.
Okay. And before this ketogenic diet, have you been on a good amount of carbs for many years?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So this is what I would do. I just think that you have the rate at which it's working is slower than you would like it. And that I understand that. I think the thing that I would do if I were you is I would do OMAD. That's 1 meal a day, especially if you're postmenopausal. A lot of my clients that were menopausal just did 1 meal a day, and they did a big meal. And then, of course, I would try to get those carbs down even lower. And then what I would do is once a week, go a little longer, go like periodic prolonged fasting. Because what's happening is you have to get rid of the fat off your liver before some of the belly starts going. And so once you do this a little bit more strict, you're going to find that, and I'm talking about fasting for like 23 hours. Now the liver has a chance to really dump all that fat, and then the belly can then shrink a lot faster. So I think because of the years that you haven't been doing it, it's more stubborn, and you just have to, we're dealing with time and correcting a lifelong problem. And unfortunately, you have to be more strict. Some people might even need to do more periodic prolonged fasting, like maybe once a week to 48 hours, every day it's OMAD. And then they start really seeing results, especially menopause. So that's what I would recommend. I think that will work. And it's frustrating because you might see other people, especially men, do it and they lose all this weight. And then you're like, wait a second,
I know.
with my chopped liver. It just has to do with hormone. You know, women have different hormones with estrogen. And so I would go start with OMAD, and I think that's going to help you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dr. Berg.
You're welcome.
That's one. Good luck with that, Nancy. And let's see. We've had good luck with questions today. The audience is right on it. The next one, true, false. Most of the world's vitamin C is made from sugar, and 90% of our respondents say false. 10% say true.
That's interesting. The answer is that's a true statement. It's made from D-glucose from corn. So that's how they make vitamin C. And it's 80% of it comes from China, and the rest comes from two main chemical companies. So they use this as a form called ascorbic acid. And so you're thinking, wow, ascorbic acid, that's vitamin C. Well, that's only because they changed the definition of it in the dictionary. So the vitamin C in nature is very different than the vitamin C you get from a pill that you buy on Amazon. I looked at the top 10 companies that sell the most vitamin C on even Amazon.com. Every single one of them, it's just ascorbic acid. It's all synthetic. And so that's where it's coming from. But it's so cheap, you can buy it for just pennies. I mean, it's just so cheap. So unfortunately, you think you're getting the real thing when it's fake. So that's kind of going to be part of the video I'm going to release on that. Here you think you're getting some vitamin C when in fact you're getting an imitated version of a fraction of the vitamin C complex that nature was, nature's design is not even remotely close to that.
Interesting. Oh, audience, only 10% got that right. Well, we'll give it another opportunity to get a much better result. Meantime, Mina from YouTube, I have a high platelet count. I'm taking vitamin D3 5000, if that's a brand. Would it be necessary together with K2, vitamin K2?
Yeah. If you take vitamin D3 short term, I think it's fine. But if you're doing it long term, make sure you include the K2 in there, because the K2 does a lot. It helps to work with vitamin D, because think about what vitamin D does. It's increasing the absorption of calcium into the blood. And, sometimes people are concerned about this. You have to take a lot of it over a long period of time, but some people are concerned with too much calcium in the blood. It's called hypercalcemia, risk of kidney stones, etc. But if you take vitamin K2, it protects you from excessive calcium in the soft tissues. And so I like the combination of D3 and K2 together and the right blend. And that way you can get the benefit of not having too much calcium, plus all the other benefits that K2 has, more energy, better solid bones, less osteopenia, osteoporosis, and it has many other benefits.
Well, that's terrific. Another question, will it break my fast? This one from Chandra, excuse me. Will MCT oil, Splenda, and butter in my coffee break my fast?
Okay, so it's not going to stimulate insulin. All right, so that's one thing. But you're still consuming something. So it's not going to interfere with your fasting benefits too much, other than this one little thing. So when you're doing fasting, right, people are saying, this food is going to break my fast, it's going to break my ketosis. I want to clarify something. If you're trying to lose weight, you want to burn your own ketones, right? I can give you ketones right now, whether it's MCT oil or just straight ketones, and that's not going to break your ketosis, but it's going to slow down your weight loss. Why? Because now the body can use that as fuel, and it doesn't have to use your own ketones. It doesn't have to use your own fat. So if you're trying to lose weight, you don't want to be adding butter or MCT oil to your coffee. You don't want to be consuming any MCT oil or things like that, because that's going to lessen your ability for your body to go after your own fat reserves. So the only reason to bring it up is that if you're struggling, like Nancy, for example, you don't want to add these extra fats, okay? Eat the fat that's normally within the protein, but don't add the extra. It's an important point.
Sorry, Chandra, you're going to have to knock it off. Let's see. Opal from YouTube was diagnosed with breast cancer 3 weeks ago. We're sorry to hear that. And have had surgery. I'm going for chemo this Wednesday. What foods do I need to avoid, and what should I eat more of?
So if you have cancer, and this is just my personal viewpoint based on the research I did, you should probably search my videos on cancer and watch the most recent one, because I stumbled on some fascinating information that led me to even doing my own research on mice in Europe right now. We're doing a whole research on that, and quite fascinating information, because you can get in big trouble when you talk about cancer on the internet. So we decided, hey, let's just do the study and report what we found. It's not even necessarily just going on keto. It's a little bit more than that. So instead of telling you what foods to eat, I'm just going to refer you to that video, and you could actually watch that and take notes. There's definitely a protocol that I would recommend, that because the problem you're dealing with is how do you starve off this cancer? There's some stuff you need to know about before you just randomly kind of just eat this or eat that. You have to understand like what causes cancer and how to do this with a strategy in mind. So because cancer can consume other things other than sugar. So of course, just by eliminating sugar doesn't guarantee that you won't feel that cancer.
Wow. Well, our hearts go out to you. Best of luck with that treatment and diet. Jack is on high blood pressure meds and wants to take nutritional yeast. I'm a freak for nutritional yeast, of course. I've been told that that's not a good idea. Your thoughts?
It's false information. Nutritional yeast does not increase blood pressure. In fact, it gives you the B vitamins that help reduce stress, which can actually help you do the opposite. The other important two things to know about blood pressure is that a low vitamin D will cause high blood pressure. Also, low potassium will cause it. And many times you might not have any symptoms from having high blood pressure because the body is compensating for a weak heart. And so it just increases the pressure to keep the same amount of oxygen and nutrition to your cells. So it's important to know what's causing that high blood pressure. And unfortunately, in the medical profession, they don't look deep enough. They say, well, hypertension, it's caused by you're eating too much salt, it's genetics, it's stress. But there's multiple causes to hypertension. 90% of all hypertension is it's called essential hypertension. What does that mean? It means unknown cause. So I've done videos on that. You should watch this and get the full scoop on what's really underneath this thing.
Okay, that's terrific. By the way, one of our earlier, Arna, had asked, I wanted to ask about Maltitol and sweetener. I keep seeing the ingredient listed store-bought keto treats or candies. Is Maltitol any good?
It's the worst. It is the worst. In fact, I think it has a glycemic index of like over 50, and that's in a small amount. If you increase the amount, it's going to do nasty things to your blood sugars. I can't believe they still have that. They out there and put in sugar-free candy and things like that. Maltitol is the worst sugar alcohol.
Oh, good grief. Terrible.
I'm sorry, Steve.
Yeah, that's bad. Anyway, I'll just stick with double cheeseburgers. Okay, next question. Which has more vitamin C, lemons or peppers? More vitamin C, lemons or peppers? Audience, climb on that, please. And we've got someone that just popped in, Stephanie from Maryland. If she can hear us, let's see if I can bring her on. Stephanie, can you hear us, dear? I don't think she can. We'll see if she can work on that. In the meantime, let's go back to social media, and let's see here. What do we have? Dip, as he's known, wants to know, what do you recommend for fatty liver with dyslipidemia?
Yeah, so there's a problem with the lipids. So the thing with the fatty liver is that if usually you're going to look down and your belly is going to be sticking out because there's when the liver fills up with fat, it spills off into the other organs and around the organs. So, I mean, there's a really powerful study. I put a video on this that you can drop 50% of that fat on your liver in 2 weeks if you're doing the healthy version of keto with, if you're doing keto, I should just say keto, ketogenic diet. But if you're going to add fasting to that, and then you're going to add maybe the type of foods that I recommend for a fatty liver, which is kind of like cruciferous, maybe you add some bile salts and choline. Boy, now you're going to really see some changes, because think about this. Bile made from your liver helps you get rid of excess cholesterol and other lipids, okay? But if your liver is fatty, you're not going to make the bile that you would normally make. So now we get a backup of these lipids, which are not a good thing. So anything that you can do to increase your production of bile would help with a fatty liver and also lipids. And I've talked about that in a lot of videos. I'll be releasing another video. Like apple cider vinegar is a good thing. The B vitamins are another great thing. Purified bile salts are another thing. It's in the gallbladder formula. So there's a lot of things you can do, but fasting and low carbs is the answer, because what's really behind the fatty liver is consuming too many carbohydrates.
All right. Be disciplined, audience. Joe from YouTube, if I have unhealthy gut microbiome, would I be more likely to have uncontrollable hunger urges? That's interesting.
That's for sure. That's for sure. There are so many things you can get rid of by making sure you have the right good bacteria in your gut. So many things, from hunger to blood sugar fluctuations to mood disorders. I mean, it's if in doubt, start increasing your probiotics. You can do it through food, fermented sauerkraut or kimchi, something like that, or even kefir. But you'd be surprised, like, how many people are missing that, and they try all these other things, but they omit the probiotics, which can help you sleep. In fact, they can help you sleep. Take them before bed. It's quite amazing.
Well, there you have it. It does have a correlation. Okay. So our last question was, which has more vitamin C, lemons or peppers? And this is a chance for the audience to redeem themselves. I hope they're right, because 95% say peppers, 5% say lemons.
They are right. It's peppers.
Yay!
Peppers are loaded with vitamin C. And lemons, if you eat the peel, you take the whole lemon, like I did this morning, you put it in a blender. I put my electrolytes in it, fill it up with water, blend it up, and drink the whole thing. Seeds and all. They're not going to bother you. You're going to get more vitamin C. You're going to get more bioflavonoids from that skin, the outer part, and the white part underneath it. So that's something I would recommend. But peppers, okay, which, by the way, are very easy to grow in your garden. They just, they don't die. I mean, they just survive, and they grow like crazy. And you don't have to do much to them. You don't even barely have to water them. So you grow these peppers, start putting them in, make your salsas, make different things, eat them raw on your salad. Fantastic amount of vitamin C. So peppers are a superfood for vitamin C.
Well, that's fantastic. Okay, let's see here. The final question for the day is a true-falser. Scurvy can be cured with ascorbic acid. Audience, true or false? So we'll get onto that. Let's see. Stephanie, can you hear us? We're trying to get her on, but no, she has a little problem.
I see Stephanie, but I don't hear her.
I know.
I can't
I
hear
don't
her
either. So, and she doesn't hear us. It seems like she's not leaping up with excitement. But anyway.
Can you hear me now?
Oh my goodness!
I can hear you now.
Hooray! Hang on,
hear you now.
Stephanie. I'm going to get you on the screen. There we go.
Good morning. My question is, so I'm diabetic, and I had like a fatty liver, but I'm very skinny. So I've been doing the intermittent fasting to lose my belly, but I'm trying to gain weight everywhere else, so I'm struggling.
Hey, I hear you. When I was, I think in high school, I tried to gain more weight. And so I started to, of course, do the thing that everyone was doing. I bought the weight loss powders, which I didn't happen to understand what maltodextrin is as the first ingredient, but they always say, well, eat more carbs to gain more weight. The problem is every time you do that, you worsen your diabetes and the liver. So the food that you need to consume more of, believe it or not, is going to be fattier foods. And that could be like macadamia nuts or pecans or avocado or olive oil. Make sure you do not go low fat. You want to have a lot of that. So more calories from the nutrient dense macro food, which is fats. If you have meats and chicken, keep the skin on it. Don't go lean. If you're having hamburger, make sure you have the fattier hamburger. But that's one thing. And you probably have a hard time doing one meal a day. So I would do 2 meals a day and make sure you have just more calories. But don't forget the vegetables, large salads, because being a diabetic, you could literally avoid nearly all the complications that occur, even if you're a diabetic, by having enough the antioxidant type foods. So even though there's a lot of like oxidation going on, free radical damage, you have the antioxidants to counter that. All of a sudden the side effects go away, even though you're a diabetic. So I think over time, as you do this, it's going to be better and better and better. But to keep the weight on, that's always the catch-22. Have an adequate amount of protein, a lot more fat, a lot more food, but keep those carbs low. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, that sounds great. Stephanie, I'm glad we were able to get you on. And we were also able to get an answer from the final question of the day. It was a true-falser. Scurvy can be cured with ascorbic acid. I guess I said that wrong. And audience, 60% say it's true. 40% say no way, it's false.
Okay, you can't. If you take a synthesized version of vitamin C complex, you can't cure scurvy, which is interesting. But you can cure scurvy from things like lemons, onions, and believe it or not, even potatoes have vitamin C in it, which I don't recommend. But there's certain, if you take a synthesized fraction ascorbic acid, which is kind of an isolated compound, the antioxidant portion, you can't cure scurvy. So it just goes to show you that a lot of people have been mistaken this ingredient for vitamin C, and they think they're the same thing, but they're not. Just because something might have a resemblance of something doesn't make it identical. It's similar, but it's not identical, because in nature, the vitamin C doesn't just come as ascorbic acid. It comes as the whole complex. It has a lot of different parts. So, I mean, I would just stick with nature, what nature intended. That's what I would do, Steve, but that's just me. Now, the reason why you may do a little bit better by even taking the ascorbic acid in the first place with a cold or some illness is simply because it's an acid. And acids tend to speed up the action of things like phagocytes, which are part of the immune system. So you might have a less duration of infection. But why not just instead do something like apple cider vinegar instead of the ascorbic acid? Because I had this gentleman who decided to get cancer treatment, and he flew to, I think, Mexico to get high doses of ascorbic acid. He thought was like the real vitamin C, but he came back with the worst hemorrhoids, the worst spider veins, varicose veins that I've ever seen. And that has to do with when you take mega doses of a certain part of a vitamin complex, it can sometimes then deplete you of the other factors. So this is why when you take a lot of ascorbic acid, you get diarrhea, for example, or you might have spider veins, because normally with vitamin C you have like the bioflavonoids as part of it to help the permeability issue of the leaking issue. So it helps to prevent bleeding, things like that. So if like one symptom of scurvy, like a subclinical scurvy, would be bleeding gums, right? Because you need a part of the vitamin C complex called the P factor, which stands for permeability. And if you have too much, like a leaky space in your gums, you start getting bleeding. So if you were to take lemons, for example, with all this bioflavonoids, like the peel of the lemon, you can get rid of that really quick. So I will be doing a video on this. I think it's important because unfortunately everything is kind of gone imitation type vitamins, and you're getting synthetic and everything's sterilized, and you got to get the truth on this thing before you start to buy into it. Especially if you're trying to get better and you don't know the difference, then it's going to take a long time.
All right. Well, listen, Dr. Berg, quickly, can you tell people that are not in the United States of the new product availability internationally?
We're always working to get the products over there faster and with less expense. So there should be a link down below if you're not in America and you want to order some products, and you can get them directly from some distributors in different parts of the world. So check out those links if you would like to use that and save a little bit on the shipping.
Okay, in our final minute, this is a timely question. Melissa, from YouTube, what would you recommend with someone with pollen allergies and a sinus infection?
There's a couple things you can do. Quercetin is a good one, and a little more apple cider vinegar to acidify your body will tend to decrease these allergy symptoms, at least temporarily, until you can fix them. A good way to deal with allergies, believe it or not, is through fasting. Fasting strengthens the immune system, and there's been quite a few reports in people no longer have allergies once they start doing intermittent fasting with periodic prolonged fasting, because the immune system is strengthened. On that note, Steve, I appreciate all of your attention, your questions, and your comments. I read a lot of these comments, and I appreciate that. So stay tuned for some more videos, more interesting videos this next week, and as well as the next Friday morning show that we'll do. All right, have a good one.